life. He was an immigration lawyer, so highly educated
Mm-hmm.
individual. And he's like, I'm not coaching openly because I don't have the credentials and yada yada. And I'm like, credentials are BS anyway. Like they are. We perceive that we need to have these certain credentials, but honestly, most of them are not governed by anything I care about.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they were, they're just somebody else's opinion. So yeah, I've got all kinds of certifications and diplomas on my wall, and they're for perception, not for anything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because half of them I don't actually utilize the
Right.
content I was taught within it. But anyway, so my thought process was, um, I'm going to start by saying touchy subjects, my favorite. And hi there,
Ooh.
I'm Julie Turner, Julieturner.ca, and this is No BS Talk, where we like to uncover the BS in society and your life as well as your mind. Today I have a special guest, and it's Mario Ostios. Is that how you say your last name?
That is correct.
Okay. And he is a recent. How many books do you have?
Oh gosh, ones that I'll admit to having, like maybe two or three. There's probably four. Well, a couple of them are hidden. We don't even think about those first
Okay,
ones.
okay, okay. So, um, yeah, if we can record it.
Mm-hmm. It's running.
Uh,
I just fired up a second ago.
okay. So we're recording already?
We are recording. We can trim out later, whatever you want to do.
Awesome. All right. So let's start.
Mm-hmm.
Touchy subjects. My favorite. Hi there. I'm Julie Turner, Julieturner.ca, and this is No BS Talk, where I like to uncover the BS in society, in your life, and most of all, in your own mind. Today, I have a special guest with me that I'm super excited to talk to. I have Mario Ostios, who is an author, among other things, and he is going to help me uncover some of the BS in our world. Welcome, Mario.
Hey, Julie, it's great to be here. Thanks for taking the time and inviting me.
Absolutely. I'm super excited about this conversation. So, Mario, you and I met probably, what, about 6 months ago, maybe a little bit more,
Yeah, I would say so. Mm-hmm.
on kind of an unrelated topic. Uh, and recently, you have released another book. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about the book today, if that's okay with you, among other things. And again, this is kind of about uncovering the BS that's currently in our world, but has always been in our world. Now, what is the name of your book?
The name of the book is called Corona Proof Your Life. Avoid the three big blunders that screw people in crisis.
Awesome. I love that title. It's a bit of a long one, but it's a great title. So I know that we spoke before coming on here about how people can get a hold of you. Now, this is going to be a podcast as much as we are probably going to put the video out as well. So we've got unclemario.net is how you reach out to Mario. We'll mention that a couple times. It'll also be in the write up. But where was Corona Proof Your Life born from?
Born, as many things are, out of pain and suffering and uncertainty.
The best things, yes.
So, when the COVID-19 virus came on my radar around late January of 2020, through some contacts that I had internationally that were telling me, hey, look, there's a viral outbreak and it's going to be the event of the year. And I started looking into the due diligence on it and corresponding with some of the people I know in the holistic health field, which is a thing I'm into. And we started assembling sort of the pieces of the puzzle. As we did that, a picture kind of came into place, incomplete though it was. And then we started to look at that picture and out of that project and forecast how this would have a domino effect through politics, economics, everything over the next, say, 3 years. And it was at that time that I really started to think about, my gosh, this is going to be a looming, shadowy sort of influence in our lives. I want to corona proof my life. And then it occurred to me, maybe I'm not the only one. So I've just been
Good point.
following that thread this year.
That is awesome. So I have read the book and taken, you have a course that goes along with the book. So we've done that. And I am so grateful. And for those of you listening out there right now, you might be thinking, oh, I've already dealt with that. And, I'm set up. I'm back at work now, whatever the case may be. Really, this book is worth the read, and the course is worth it, because as you Mario have said, this was born out of pain and out of crisis. So if we have this delusion this will be the last crisis we ever go through, or that this crisis is actually over, that's pretty deluded. So it's still super, super relevant. I took it closer to the beginning of right after you finished it, I believe.
Mhm.
So January 2020. Now, most of us, us little people out here, including myself, are like January 2020, but nothing really happened until March. That's when we started feeling pain. We started feeling pain in March. So it's interesting to me that it was already swirling around before that.
Yes, yes. And in my case, to quote the country singer Garth Brooks, it pays to have friends in low places.
It
So,
will.
people on the cutting edge, people who are credentialed practitioners, and yet they're not bound by their credentials. They are willing to be on the frontier within their respective fields. Physicians and naturopaths and all these sorts of people. And I am in contact and communication with them. And so that's when it started to hit my radar of what was going on and what was being concealed, what was being obfuscated in China, the consequences and impact of it. So I got a little bit of a running head start, and then through this network and accumulating all this data, we started to have a solid picture of how this was likely to impact us, and most importantly, what to do. That was the whole point of the book. And I talk about Corona Proof Your Life, but it really is a treatise on just being disaster proof, crisis proof, uh,
Right.
because I think we're entering a decade where we're going to be uh, looking at something of an ongoing challenges, ongoing opportunities, but wrapped up in challenges.
Right. So thank you for bringing this book to the forefront. Something I thought of as you were speaking there, which is a horrible thing to do, just FYI, from a listen to hear people, not so that you can speak. Back in December and January, I was working with a client in my private practice in China. And she was telling me about all the things that were going on in her world. And I was like, oh, that sucks. It really sucks to be you. Not for one moment did I ever think that I would be in the same position as her. And from what she told me, I was very much months later in the same position as her. And it was so interesting to me because I think I'm in Canada, you're in the US. I think both our countries arguably have felt like there was a bubble around us, that we couldn't be touched by certain crisis because we don't live in a third world country, and because we have all this technology and our governments will protect us, which I have a hard time saying without laughing. We have these delusions as to how our lives are going to be. And again, it doesn't actually. I often talk about how our lives happen within our heads, and that is a great indicator of that. In my head, I was absolutely untouchable. This could not affect me because I live in Canada, and that just doesn't affect us here in Canada. So I love the idea of the not being bound by your credentials as well. So I think we could do a whole segment on that. And just before we came on, we were talking about credentials in general. And, I always say, and I say it openly, so I'll say it again, that most of the credentials that any of us carry are no more useful than anybody else's knowledge. It's just that we bothered to memorize the right things to get that diploma. It doesn't mean that other people don't have the intelligence and the understanding And it doesn't mean that you do have it just because you have the credentials. Again, I truly feel like a lot of education is just the ability to memorize. So that's my personal opinion. I will step down off my soapbox now and ask you, what is the biggest thing that you learned that was maybe a game changer? Like, holy crap, I'm not doing that and I've got to.
Gosh, coming out of this year was really embracing the digital trend.
Okay.
Prior to this, a lot of the work that I had done was face to face, be it one on one or in groups. I very much enjoyed that live action interaction. And because of what's been going on here, it really just sort of pushed me more into social media, doing things through video. The trend is going to be we're all going to be doing more things through video, through audio, through the written word, going forward through this decade. And I was joking with a person, a good friend of mine, the other day, and I said, "Hey, look, like it or not, everybody's about to become a TV news anchor, so you might as well become good at it."
I saw that video. You did a video. You guys, I'm sure that after you go to unclemario.net, you can hop off onto your social media. I'm guessing there's probably
Oh yeah.
links.
Yes.
Mario has a lot of interesting videos and he's very real in his videos. So I quite like that. That's awesome. To speak to that, becoming, more in tune with the digital world, even right up until, 5 minutes ago, maybe still right now, I have been, okay, so I'm going to do social media and I'm going to do Zoom meetings until I can do other things. And, we still have that, no, we'll get back. We'll get back to where we were. I used to speak at least once a month. I would have a speaking opportunity, speaking engagement. And I loved that. And I got to tell you, I don't actually miss it as much as I thought I would, but part of me is still waiting to get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure that we're getting back to it.
It's uncertain. One of the things I highlight in the book is my position, which is not just my position. It is a growing consensus opinion out of a independent network of holistic health professionals that we can address our current challenges with COVID-19 with vitamins, that we can have a systemic, system-wide, not a specific immunological response, but a system-wide immunity through addressing rampant but unrecognized vitamin deficiencies. And I highlight 3 of them in the book. There are more, but I highlighted 3 that are commonly well known and commonly available: vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc.
I've got a few questions about those. So before we get into that, we're going to take a short break and we'll listen to some sponsors and listen to which those sponsors may or may not be me. And we'll just give you guys a break, grab a drink, maybe a pen and paper, just in case you want to write some of this stuff down, because after this break, I'd like to get into some of the technicalities, some of the things that you've learned from the people in the know, and maybe some things that you have just theories on moving forward. That would be great if we could do that. And we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We are here with Mario Ostios, and you can reach him at uneclemario.net. And I am excited to dig into this next portion where we're going to actually learn about portions, really, and about some of the vitamin deficiencies. So, Mario, just before the break, you had mentioned digging into or uncovering some of the vitamin deficiencies that we have in our society. That's kind of a big area of interest for me. I'm big on nutrition and actually preventative medicine. So what can you tell us about maybe what's in the book or what you've been working on from a preventative, getting us back to health?
Oh, absolutely. One of the main points in the book. So when I was going through the process of accumulating the information from various experts and putting them together, getting this picture of what were the opinions of people, what were they testing, what was working, getting case reports. consistent themes kept coming up as regards COVID-19. One of them was vitamin C. And the listener is invited to do their due diligence on this. There's a group of people right now who are sort of in a blind, almost fearful trust of the authorities.
Right.
Please save us, help us from this. And then there's the others who are like, well, if something works, we got to take a look at it. This is the latter camp, and that's what I'm going to share with you now. Dr. Richard Cheng, I believe he's based out of South Carolina, but he's spent some time in China this year treating people on the front lines, and he found that high dose vitamin C administered intravenously, also it can be taken oral, had both treatment benefits as well as preventative benefits in multiple case studies in his time there. Now, the level at which that protection is afforded is higher than the recommended daily allowance, a good bit higher. And what I recommend to people, and again, they can do their due diligence. This information is on the internet. You just need to know to look for it. And I would say, as a general rule of thumb, 5 grams, 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C is going to afford a measure of immunological systemic protection against everything, COVID as well. And I have personally this year 26 case studies, people I know who have gotten the virus, and we have found that their symptoms have abated and gone away by bumping up vitamin C. A second one is vitamin D. Vitamin D is actually not a vitamin. It is a hormone that the body makes when the skin is exposed to sunlight. Almost none of us get enough sunlight to have adequate levels of vitamin D. And in
I
the
wish.
I'm sorry?
I said, I wish.
Exactly. And in the wintertime, it's almost zero. So I recommend 5,000 IUs of vitamin D, and this is based on numerous case studies I've done personally, checking people's levels with blood tests, as well as estimating those levels with a free app that you can put on your phone called the D Minder, and then checking those changes when they are supplementing and or getting sunlight. And again, the listener is invited to look into this. The evidence is accumulating from multiple sources. Vitamin D is beneficial as a immunological support overall, but specifically to COVID-19. Third, zinc. This was in the news in the spring when people were debating the effectiveness of hydroxychloroquine as a COVID-19 treatment in conjunction with erythromycin, the Z-Pak antibiotic, and zinc. Well, the mechanism by which this is thought to work is that the hydroxychloroquine fuel injects the zinc into the cells, and that the zinc inhibits viral replication. Why wait? Take the zinc. Again, we find that when people have blood tests, they are usually very, very low in zinc.
Right.
And so by addressing these 3 nutrient deficiencies, which you can confirm with blood tests, and then just bridge the gap between, let's say, a D grade on that test and an A grade, you can, I think, provide yourself with significant protection, not only against COVID-19, but against all sorts of bugs.
Right. So how much zinc is there? Is there you gave me 5,000 and 5,000 for the vitamin C and the vitamin D. Do you have something for the zinc?
I do, and I have a very specific recommendation on this because zinc and copper are 2 elements that need to exist in a ratio, one relative to the other. And so I am a fan of supplementing with what's called balanced zinc, because it contains both zinc and copper in that ratio. So you're raising them both, but maintaining that nice ratio when you do it. I'd say balanced zinc, 45 milligrams a day. Again, to be clear, my recommendations are above the RDA, but they are based on the due diligence and observation of blood tests. What does it take to get an A on the blood test?
Okay, that makes total sense. And thank you very much for sharing that. So things like vitamin C are a water soluble vitamin anyways. So arguably you're not going to have to worry about a buildup of it in your system. Vitamin D, I like how you were looking at vitamin D. And depending on where you are in the world, that's obviously going to be a different number. This is an international broadcast, so do your homework, do your due diligence. D-Minder is the app that you can download. And again, I will have that in the notes, the show notes here. And zinc and copper balance, that makes total sense. Now, this seems like a pretty simple thing to do just to prevent or possibly prevent what has been shown to be a quite a disastrous illness. But it is mind blowing to me how few people will take the steps of preventative medicine, because that's not how our cultures, especially in America and Canada, we haven't been raised on a preventative medicine platform. We've been raised to get help in crisis. So what we're trying to do here is preventative medicine. So thank you so much, Mario, for that information. I know you've got a lot of other stuff in your book. I don't know if you wanted to share anything in particular, dig into anything in particular. I know you've got everything from finances to just all kinds of stuff. The book is amazing. Pick it up.
Oh, absolutely. Happy to. And, when I put this together, I decided against trying to do a 500-page Encyclopedia Britannica of information, because time is a factor right now. And
Yes.
so my goal was to have something that could be read in a half an hour with action steps to give people those essential first steps and get momentum, inertia. This is not a theoretical exercise. I don't want people to read it and go, oh, that was really well written. I want them to tell me, hey, what's next? I did everything in the book. That's my highest aim out of that. And so I looked at a couple of three different things, really. One was the context of infection. And then the second was the context of economy, how that's going to affect our economy, because I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but we've had lockdowns all over the world, a cessation of economic activity, a choking up of the globalization economic model. Just-in-time delivery is in the twilight of its life cycle right now, and we all need to adapt to what's happening and what's going on. And so in the book, I lay out some very forthright things that are more around the idea of preparation, just being a good Boy Scout, a good Girl Scout. Just-in-time delivery is a model that became a big thing in the 70s, sort of after we started going into globalization.
Mm-hmm.
And very briefly, for the benefit of the listener, the idea is that there's about 3 days worth of inventory on the shelves, and that things are continuously being moved from their production to their point of sale. That is going to break down over the next 30 to 36 months, I think, as we recognize the Achilles heel in this system, which is pandemic. And if we
Right.
look back through history, we see that much of the civilization breakdown always has a prequel: pandemic, ancient
Mm.
Rome, Europe, etc. Pandemic causes a problem with commerce, public health, infrastructure tends to implode thereafter. So that's one of the things I think that's really worth doing, is making sure you have preparations. I'll give you just five categories: water security, filters or stored water is good; food security. I have specific recommendations on that, but just to keep it short and sweet, buy more of what you like and keep it at home. Power and communications, cell phones, USB sticks for your data. Candles if we have power outages. That's been an issue in California throughout the year. Flashlights, batteries, that sort of thing, as well as food, water, power, and comms. Security. We've seen that law enforcement is struggling right now to maintain law and order in various places around the United States. And I think we're going to probably be seeing more of that. So having security, physical security, even medical security, taking first aid classes, having a first aid kit. These are good things to be investing your time and attention into right now. Are materials, goods, essential goods, and skills. Money in the bank is great, but if you can't access it, you can't buy things because they're not available for sale, you're in a pickle. And to the point of the economy, I think we are looking at a trend that has been moved into motion, perhaps accelerated, where we're going to see some currency issues. And that is something that I will be talking about in my next publication, how to make a successful transition, even taking advantage of the trend of declining currencies.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Now, that was a great list, like a very great list. I'm not into living in fear. So I don't want anybody out there that's listening to go, oh my goodness, the sky is going to fall and run out and have to, do things specifically. But here's the fact. As I said, in January, I went, not possible, won't touch me. And thankfully, I have always been into preventative. So I already had, the bank account. I wasn't worried about living month to month. That's not the way that I live. I've already prepared for that. I already knew about food. I already had the preventative. But how many of you out there have that? How many of you out there are prepared to shut your life down again? Because we don't know that it will happen, but we don't know that it won't. We didn't know it was going to happen the first time. So again, I'm not trying to promote fear here at all, but do this from a sensibility point of view. Do this for the future, whether or not something is going to happen, you should already be prepared. Does that sound sane? UncleMario.net.
I'm in total agreement. I don't preach fear either. I preach fortune. And subsequent to that is the old axiom, fortune favors the prepared.
Absolutely, it does.
I sleep good at night. I got all my ducks in a row.
I sleep very good at night, but sleep is one of my areas of interest as well. So thank you so much again, UncleMario.net, and thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for viewing, if you can see us right now. And I look forward to bringing you more guests, and hopefully Uncle Mario will come back when his next book is done and we can talk a little bit more about currency, because I think that would be a fascinating conversation as well. Super grateful for your time. Join us again next week on No BS Talk. All right. That was awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful. My pleasure. Do you want me to pause the recording?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay, got it. And